Welcome to the Computer Literacy Center's online instructional video about the XLOOKUP function in Google Sheets. XLOOKUP is a useful function which searches a table and then returns a requested value. My name is Melody Neal, and I will be guiding you through this tutorial. To follow along with this tutorial, download the start file that is bundled with this module. In this video, we will use the XLOOKUP function to find specific values from a table, add a column of data to a table, and find an approximate match if the exact value doesn't exist. Imagine that we have a table of customers' names, emails, and phone numbers. In this formatting, each row represents a customer, and each column is a field of different information. If we wanted to find Alex's email, we would first look in the names column until we found Alex's name. Then we would look to the right cell, which contains the email for Alex. The process we just followed is the same process XLOOKUP goes through. XLOOKUP has 3 required arguments and 3 optional arguments. The first argument is the search key. This tells the function what to search for. It was Alex in our previous example. The second argument is the lookup range. This tells the function where we want to search for the search key. In the previous example, it was the names column. The third argument is the result range. This is the column that the function will look at to find the result. In the example, it was the email column. This formula would give us Alex's email. With these 3 arguments, the function will work. The other arguments just augment how XLOOKUP works. The first optional argument is the missing value. This says what value to return if no match is found. For example, we may tell our email formula to return none rather than an error message. We'll cover the other 2 optional arguments later in the tutorial. Let's open up the XLOOKUP start file to use the function on some data. Here, we have a table with attendance and grades for students in a class. Let's use the XLOOKUP function to find Brady's attendance without having to scan through the table manually. To start, we select cell J4 and type equal XLOOKUP and an open parenthesis. Next, we need to fill in the 3 required arguments. In this case, the search key we want is Brady, so we type Brady in quotations. Since the first names are in the first column, we select A3 to A32 for the lookup range. For the result range, we select the attendance column, D3 to D32. Pressing enter, we can see that the function returned Brady's attendance, 55.36%. Next, let's move on to the sorting data sheet. Another common use of XLOOKUP is to sort data into an existing table. Here, we want to add the new scores from exam 4, but the student IDs are all jumbled up. The idea is that our XLOOKUP function will search the table on the right for the correct student ID and return their score. To start, let's select the first empty cell in the exam 4 column and type equal XLOOKUP open parenthesis. For the search key, we select cell C3 because it contains that student's ID. For the lookup range, we select the student ID column on the right and press F4 to make it an absolute reference. This is so that we can use autofill later. For the result range, we select the score column and once again make it an absolute reference, pressing enter once we're done. If a suggested autofill box appears, we accept the suggestion. Otherwise, we double-click the autofill handle to fill the rest in. Next, let's move on to the approximating value sheet. In this sheet, the student data has been rearranged and sorted by grade. When working with sorted data, sometimes we want XLOOKUP to return a close match when it can't find the exact search key we give it. This is where the second optional argument comes in. The argument is called the match mode. Setting it to 1 will cause XLOOKUP to return the row with an exact match, or the next value that is bigger than the search key. Setting it to -1, XLOOKUP will look for an exact match or the next value that is lower. Let's do an example. We want to find the student who was closest to failing the class, but still passed. In other words, the student with the lowest grade above 60%. In cell K7, let's type equal XLOOKUP and an open parenthesis. We want to find a grade above 60%, so 60% is our search key. We select the grade column for our lookup range and the name column for our result range. We skip the missing value argument by making sure that we have 2 commas. Now, we type in 1 for the match mode. It shows us that Samuel is the student who is closest to failing. If we wanted to instead find the student that was closest to passing the class, we would use the other match mode value, -1. Let's edit the formula we just wrote and change the cell ranges into absolute references. Then copy the formula to cell L11. Now we change the 1 to a -1. Looks like Brady was really close to passing. If we remember from our first example, Brady had really low attendance. Maybe he should have attended class more often. Finally, let's move to the changing search mode sheet. This sheet shows the assignments that the students have turned in, sorted by the date that they were turned in. Recently turned in assignments are towards the bottom. We need to find what assignment Cassidy has most recently turned in. Let's write a function similar to the previous ones we have used, starting with =XLOOKUP and an open parenthesis. We type in the search key Cassidy, and then select column A as the lookup range, and column D as the result range. We press enter, and it comes back with the result assignment 1 because it returns the first exact match it runs into. But we want the newest assignment, not the oldest one. To fix this, we use the third optional argument. We edit the formula, putting 3 commas to skip the 2 optional arguments that we don't want. Putting in a 1 means XLOOKUP will search top to bottom. Putting in a -1 means it searches bottom to top. Let's type -1 and hit enter. Now the formula returns the correct latest assignment, assignment 4. In this video, we used the XLOOKUP function in several ways. We found an exact match, an approximate match, and used it to sort data into a table. For more information about Google Sheets and other computer literacy topics, visit our website at weber.edu/clc.